Raider Nation, we picked up a monster. We signed Marquand McCall to our practice squad just recently. 6'3", 380 pounds, was an undrafted free agent out of Kentucky. I'm going to get into it, but before I do, if you could please subscribe, like the video, turn on those notifications. And one thing I want to say is I appreciate all my subscribers, but especially I appreciate the people that have just started to subscribe in the last 48 hours. Since my last video, I've blown up with the subscribers. I'm moving quickly, and I'm kind of tracking my way to 1,000. So if you could help me, please subscribe, help me get to 1,000. I would definitely appreciate it. And to show my appreciation, when I do hit 1,000, I want to do my second giveaway to all my subscribers. I did my first one when I hit 100, which was just a couple months ago. And I'm very quickly creeping my way to 1,000. And once I do, I want to do my second giveaway to all my subscribers. So once I hit 1,000, that's when I'm going to announce it. So please help me get there and subscribe if you can. I would definitely appreciate it. So let's kind of get into this, right? The one thing we need is we need D-line depth. We just released Nesta Jade Silvera. Our third-round draft pick, Byron Young, he's really not producing. We got a decent little core, but man, if one of our D linemen get hurt, then we might be in trouble. So we signed Marquand McCall to our practice squad, a big body, a big monster. And the one thing I want to do is if he does get elevated, if he does get signed to the 53-man, I think there's a certain situation where we might see him kind of help us with the new scheme that we're seeing Patrick Graham kind of implement in these last two games. And I'm going to get into it. But before I do, let me know, do you like the pickup? Do you like the pick of Marquand McCall to our practice squad with the potential of bringing him to the 53? Let me know in the comments, yes or no, do you like the pickup? So let's kind of go back real quick. McCall was out of the University of Kentucky. He played 4 seasons there. His last season, going into his senior year, Kentucky was really pumped on this kid. Unfortunately, I believe it was about 7 games in, he had an ankle injury, so he didn't play the last 4 or 5 games, which kind of dropped him down, obviously, his draft status. So he ended up being an undrafted free agent. His numbers ending in Kentucky, he had 57 tackles, 10 tackles for loss. He didn't get any sacks. But the one thing, if you go back and look at his highlights, and I encourage you to do so, one thing that you can see is, he had a motor. He had some excitement, whether it be on the field or off the field. This guy had played with a chip on his shoulder. And that's what I like, especially on the defense side of the ball. You want to see someone that kind of has that edge or that emotion that can bring to the table. And based on what I see in the highlights, not only is he a big body, he's going to be extremely hard to move, but he does play with a little bit of edge, a little bit of attitude, and that's what I like to see because I think that's what Antonio Pierce and Patrick Graham is trying to bring to this defensive side. So he gets drafted by he gets picked up by the Panthers as a undrafted free agent, and he played all last year. His numbers weren't impressive. I think 185 snaps, 4 pressures, 3 tackles for losses, 3 quarterback hits, and 15 tackles. Now, even though those numbers aren't impressive, I think he got buried in the depth chart a little bit. They run more of over in Carolina, they run more of a 3-4 look. There was, I believe it was 3 nose tackles on the depth chart, so he got buried a little bit. And he might have been recovering a little bit off of that ankle injury out of his senior year out of Kentucky. But I think what happened was coming into this season, before the season started, I think it was either before or I think it was after the first preseason game, the Carolina Panthers end up cutting him. Now, I went back and I looked at the fan reaction. Now, I understand fans don't make or break the decision or have much bearing as to how bad that decision was. But there was a lot of excitement with this guy, and a lot of fans were puzzled as to why Frank Wright made this move, because he started in that first preseason game and did pretty well. And again, 6'3", 380 pounds. That's a massive human being in a 3-4 defense that you're basically a two gap man. I mean, you could play 2 gaps and take up two blockers, free up those linebackers. And that's what that nose guard really does, is you take up, one, maybe two guys on that offensive line, and you're going to play that two gap scheme. And so there was a lot of fans that were puzzled and were really not understanding why that move was made. But that decision went on, and Frank Wright ended up cutting him. Now, to me, I think it was more of just a casualty cut because of a new coaching staff, right? Anytime a new coaching staff comes in, you want your guys. And so maybe that was the reason. Maybe that's, Frank Wright didn't draft him. He was technically just a one-year guy, undrafted rookie. So maybe it was just time. He was going to move on, let the guy potentially have some success elsewhere, and he wanted his guys. So again, that's pure speculation on my part, but maybe that is the case. Now, after the Panthers, the Patriots tried to pick him up, but he didn't pass a physical because he had an injury to his knee. Now, I have heard, I don't know this for a fact, but I have heard by some content creators here on YouTube that they were saying that some coaches or some scouts wanted to, or doctors want him to lose a little bit of weight. 380 pounds is a lot to carry, especially in the game of football, right? There's a lot of planting, a lot of cutting, a lot of pressure that's put on your joints. At 380 pounds, that's a lot of weight to carry. So maybe they did want him to cut a little bit of weight to kind of help with possibly some of those injuries. And so maybe that's why he really didn't get picked up until this point, because I haven't seen any teams pick him up on their practice squad and then maybe release him and so on and so forth. So maybe that's why. Maybe some of the teams want him to lose a little bit of weight to help with the joints, help with some of those injuries. Or maybe he is fully recovering from an injury that maybe happened last season. I'm not exactly sure, to be honest with you. So, but now we come to us, right? We pick him up. We waived Nesta Jade Silvera, which was on our D line. Now we did just pick him. I think we just re-signed him to our practice squad today. Byron Young, which is our third round draft pick, from last year. I mean, he's just not producing. So we basically have our four solid guys, right? We got John Jenkins, we got Bilal Nichols, we got Jerry Tillery, we got Adam Butler. We got our main guys. But if we do have an injury to one of these guys, we need to have some depth behind them. And so bringing him in, I do think, is a good move, especially given the fact that the two guys, Byron Young and Nesta Jade Silvera, they're just not producing. And so we make this move, and then today just released that we just cut Malik Reed. So we now have a roster spot open. And we are going to face the Chiefs this weekend, week 16. One of the things we have to do is get after the quarterback. And this is where, in the beginning of the video, I said that there might be a situation that we might see. We might see Marquand McCall get called up to the 53-man roster for a certain situation. And this is what I think may happen. Because, again, we have a roster spot. We play against the Chiefs, and one of the things we have to do is we have to get after Patrick Mahomes. So what we've been doing the last couple of weeks is we've been playing around with Tyree Wilson, right? We've been seeing Tyree Wilson kind of play more, not more, but play inside the interior a little bit. And one thing I'd like to see, again, a possibility, is if we see Tyree Wilson on the inside, you got Max on the outside, Malcolm Kuntz on the other, and you bring a big body like Marquand McCall. Bring a big body in there, play a two gap system, get him to really take up two gaps, maybe even force that double team. Now you got to force a double team with Marquand McCall, right? He's a big body. Force a double team there. You might have to double team Tyree Wilson, because if he does what he did against Minnesota, struggled a little bit against the Chargers, but if he also forces that double team, now you got trouble on the outside as well. So it's almost like pick your poison. So again, we cut Malik Reed to open up a roster spot. We bring in Marquand McCall to the practice squad. Nesta Jade Silvera gets waived and re-signed to the practice squad. there might be a chance that that Marquand McCall might get called up to our 53. Let me know in the comments below if you think Marquand McCall might get called up to the 53-man roster. But if he does, yes, he can get thrown into the natural rotation um, uh, behind John Jenkins, behind Bilal Nichols. He could get just thrown into the rotation. But what I could see is a little scheme play, and you might see him come in with a package of Tyree Wilson on the inside, both those guys potentially having to force a double team situation and kind of free up Max on one side and potentially free up Malcolm Kuntz on the other. It could be a possible package that Patrick Graham might be coming up with. So obviously, we need help on the run game as well. Isaiah Pacheco, the running back for the Chiefs, he's coming back after missing last week. He's going to be at full strength, and we got to stop this kid. And the one way to do it is to bring some big bodies up front and do what we can to meet this kid at the line of scrimmage, because he runs like he wants to hurt somebody. So we got to make sure we get as many bodies on him as we possibly can. So I appreciate you guys. Again, please like the video, subscribe, turn on those notifications, help me get to 1,000, and help me get to where I get to say thank you to you all and do my second giveaway. So also look out for my scouting report video on our Week 16 matchup against the Chiefs. That's going to be coming out in the next 24 hours. So again, appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm out.